Hello everyone and welcome back to the Railway Shed. Today we'll be looking at Hornby number R1039 Flying Scotsman train set. This is by far the biggest train set I own and was probably the first I ever owned, having gotten it when I was rather young. This year also marks the 100th anniversary of the building of locomotive number 4472 Flying Scotsman, which is by far the most famous steam engine in the world, which I have also seen and ridden behind. The train set contains a controller, 2 power clips, 2 buffer stops, an adapter, 8 pieces of radius free curve I believe, 2 points, quite a number of straights, 4 LNER teak coaches, and of course the star of the show, the Flying Scotsman. It also includes track packs A and B. As far as I know, this is one of the only Flying Scotsman train sets that includes 4 coaches over 3, which gives it a pretty lengthy train to pull. Let's take a look inside this box. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the original manuals or posters that came with the set, and I've had to switch out the controllers as the older model didn't work. So it has the newer type. We've got the locomotive, the tender, 2 brake coaches, and 2 composites, as well as the track here and here, as well as one of the track clips. The other one from the set is used on my layout. Now let's get an up close and personal look at the world famous steam engine. And there she is in her lovely LNER apple green. This is probably the most detailed model I've got in my collection, as all the lining and numbering is properly printed with all the sides. Let's take a closer look at this lovely engine. This set depicts Scotsman in its original A1 form under the LNER. Sadly, you can see it's got a cracked buffer and is missing its vacuum pipe. You've got the lovely separately fitted handrails, as well as a lovely nameplate, of which I do own one myself. It's also got a corridor tender, which it had for its non-stop runs between King's Cross and Edinburgh. The cab detail inside this engine is absolutely phenomenal, though it's not painted. Sorry that you can't really see it because of how my lighting is. The locomotive is tender driven, and as you can see is free rolling. It's definitely one of the most grand engines. The tender is just like that, with a lovely coal mould and the corridor of course to connect to the coaches, and also the lovely London North Eastern Railway lettering on the side. To me, this is what the level of detail in Hornby train sets should be. I'm sure you already know a lot of Scotsman's history, but I'll give you a brief run through as I put it on the track. Also, I apologise as I cannot set up the track from this train set as I really don't have the space, but my layout should do. Built in 1923, LNER A1 Pacific number 1472, later to be 4472 Flying Scotsman, was just like any other A3 at the time. However, the LNER needed a figurehead, sort of an icon to represent it as a company. They named this engine and renumbered it to 4472 to Flying Scotsman, after their famous train service. Flying Scotsman holds many world records, such as the first ever non-stop run between London and Edinburgh, first engine to officially reach 100 miles an hour, the longest distance ever travelled in a single trip by a steam engine, one of the most travelled steam engines in the world, as well as the first engine to traverse the Panama Canal. Scotsman worked all the way through past the World Wars into British Railways ownership, where it still operated the Flying Scotsman service. You can see there Flying Scotsman in its BR livery with German-style smoke deflectors because of the double chimney. Scotsman is best known carrying a rake of LNER teak coaches, like the heyday of its travels within the 1930s. It's also starred in many documentaries and a feature film made in the 20s. As of this year, Scotsman turns 100. This is my sort of way of commemorating that milestone, as it is an achievement for any engine, as it still steams on the main lines today, doing its duties over 100 years on, which is a truly commendable thing. Like many rail enthusiasts, I'm a particular fan of the Flying Scotsman, having much merchant memorabilia commemorating it. Here's a picture of me standing next to it a couple years ago. However, looks aren't everything to a model engine. Let's see how it performs. First, as always, we'll do a crawl test. Bear in mind that this engine is tender driven, so no actual power comes from the engine except pickups on the main driving wheels. Thing is with tender driven engines, they're notorious for stalling at slow speeds. Let's see her in reverse. One more time back and front. Maybe run her up a little further up the line. Let's run her back, where she can couple up to her train. I would also like to dedicate this video to Billy Patton, the autistic person, as this idea was made by him. Go subscribe to him, his link is in the description below. Now let's get Scotsman started. Let's have a lovely running session with this giant steamer. Let's bring Scotsman down to speed, where I can give you my ratings. Here are my ratings for this train set. Thank you so much for watching. I've really enjoyed making this review and would love to do more train set reviews in the future if you would be interested. Shout out again to Billy Patton, and thank you all for watching. Remember to like, subscribe and comment what your favourite part of the video was. So without further ado, let's set Scotsman off the way.